moment.
Yes.
Because our big boy's not here, and I loved him so much, and I think we should say a little prayer, a little moment for our Jimmy.
Yeah. Amen. Absolutely.
God bless you, Jimmy.
He's here.
Yeah, he's here. He is here. He's here with me.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I love you all.
Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Just, you have to indulge me for 1 second. All I need you to do is look into the camera, say your name, and say what character you played.
I'm Jerry Adler, and I played Hesh.
Hi, I'm Lorraine Bracco. I played Big Pussy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm Lorraine Bracco, and I played Dr. Melfi.
Thank you very much.
I'm Catherine Narducci, and I played Charmaine Bucco.
John Ventimiglia, I play Arthur Bucco.
Beautiful.
Dominic Chianese, I played Corrado Soprano.
Junior.
Vincent Pasto, I played Sal Bumpanciero, but you could call me Pussy.
Maureen Van Zandt, I played Gabriella Dante.
I'm Tony Sirico, and I played Paulie Walnuts. You got that?
Stevie Van Zandt, like Silvio Dante.
Michael Imperioli, I played Christopher Moltisanti.
Edie Falco, I played Carmela.
Jamie-Lynn Sigler, I played Meadow Soprano.
I'm Robert Eiler, I played AJ Soprano.
Have you all been together at all in the last 5, 6, 7, 10
Not
plus
together.
years?
No. That wasn't any.
Nope.
Really?
I wouldn't go near these people.
This is the first 20-year reunion, so we were waiting.
Yeah. Don't remind me. 20 years.
Here's my question. Who of you, show of hands, knew from the get-go that this was going to be as big a show as it turned out to be? 1, 2, 3, 4. Why did you think?
Because I asked David what was going on because they hadn't committed to making the show, and they had a very short period of time to do that. And I called David. I said, "What's going on?" And he said, "Listen, I'm going to send you the pilot." I watched the pilot, and I literally jumped for joy. I said, "This is the best thing I've seen in 5 years. TV, movie, theater, whatever. I absolutely think it's fantastic."
Right, right. But we had other people who didn't raise their hands. Edie, you're working on the show. You're working away. Did you think this thing had any chance at all?
I never know. What I had come to know is that I don't know anything. I had been wrong so many times about things I thought were great that nobody else could care less about. So I just, you hope for the best, but all you know is you have 3 weeks of work and then you move on. So that's where I was at.
Yeah. One day at a time.
One day at a time.
Oof. Michael, how about you?
I read the pilot. You can't really tell from reading the pilot. This is before we shot it. The scope of what it would be, I wasn't sure if it was a spoof, like kind of like a, tongue-in-cheek. I really did not, I wasn't particularly blown away by it. I needed a job at the time. I thought David hated me in the audition.
David Chase.
He looked so bored. He did hate me. He looked so bored.
Yeah.
And then I walked out, I figured I didn't get it. And I was like, well, he's not even Italian, this Chase. He's some white guy. So
it turns out he is Italian.
Turns out he is Italian.
Right.
So,
And that's his face.
and he's not white, he's Italian.
Right.
So,
I have a funny story about that.
Please.
After we filmed the pilot, I don't know if you remember this, David Chase took me and Johnny V on the side, and he said, "Look, I don't know if anybody's going to want this thing and if it gets picked up, but if it does, I would love to have you two come back." Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. He sat us down. It was 20 years ago, I know. But I remember.
Bang him out for a little bit more if I knew that.
Because I remember, I thought it was great. I didn't think it was going to be this big, but I thought it was great when I read the pilot. But that was the conversation we had.
Yeah.
And David Chase's thoughts on it were pretty funny to me.
No, he did. He said, I remember him saying that. No one's ever going to watch this thing.
Right.
He called me on the phone, and he said he was doing a pilot. and we had worked together on Northern Exposure, and he had this pilot he wanted me to do if I was available. I happened to be in New York that week on between sitcoms, and he said, "You're going to love it. It's called The Sopranos." I said, "I'd love to do it, but I got to warn you in advance. I don't sing."
You've never told that story before. The idea that, did you know what it was? Because from the standpoint, when you look at it, it's a family show. It's kind of funny. It's unbelievably violent. It's crazy also. I mean, there's parts of it that, like throwaway, kind of non sequitur. It's a lot of stuff going on that screen at any given time, right? What did it feel like to be a part of the cast?
I remember in the beginning, as soon as I had been auditioning for like stuff for probably 5 years or something, and I remember it was my first TV show, and I remember going home and my mom, everybody was like, "Oh, you got a TV show, you're gonna be famous." And then we were on set doing the pilot, and I said that, I guess, and Tony Sirico said, "Listen, you do these things all the time. This is going to be nothing. We'll probably never see each other again." So then I had to go back and break the news to my family. It was tough, but then, you know.
You
Mr.
might as well spread it.
Right? Tony, talk about it, because this was not your first rodeo.
No, it wasn't, but I'd killed before. Number one.
I have no doubt.
Number two, when I went into initially audition for David, he looked at me. He said, "You sit there." He put a hat on me, and the lines were, "These kids today." I said, "Is that how you want to see?" He says, "Any way you want it. Anyway, I'm playing an 80-year-old man." As I put the hat back on, "Son of a, these kids today." That happened. That's 2. 3, I get a phone call. HBO is deciding on 3 of us: me, Frankie, Vincent, may rest in peace, and Dominic. We all had our turn at bat. We did the routine. I did the same thing. I did all I could for this type of character. I'm playing an 80-year-old man. These kids today. That's what I said. Everybody went. I got a phone call an hour later from David Chase, who tells me, he says, I says, and he says, "Yeah, you got some bad news. You're not playing that character." I says, "Uncle John." Uncle John, thank you. He says, "But he says, I got something in mind for you. I'm not sure. I want you on the show. I haven't decided what you're going to do, who you're going to be." I said, "Yeah, okay, sure." I hung up. I don't know if he was pulling my pretzel or what he was doing. An hour later, he calls me up and he says, "You are Paulie Walnuts. You're on the show." That's how I got on the show. I wasn't learning lines. I just showed up and got the job. Every now and then, don't hurt nobody. Make you laugh.
Was Paulie in the script, in the original script, or he wrote it in?
No, Dominic's role, the old man.
Uncle Junior.
So he created Paulie Walnuts for you.
Yeah. He told me I'm Paulie Walnuts.
And there you are.
I loved it. The boss was telling me that.
It's beautiful.
That I know.
Yeah.
My agent called me up, said, they want you on the show. You're going to be Artie Bucco, the chef. I said, "The chef? As a chef? What is that?" Okay. I mean, you know.
It's a mobster show. You want to be a mobster.
Yeah, I want to be a cool guy, you know.
Right.
You would turn out to be the coolest.
Turned out to be all right.
Right.
We all came out of independent film, so we'd meet each other at auditions. We were all going in a lot of the same things, and you know, you're going in on that. You never expected anything to do too much, but you love what you were doing and who you were doing it with, and that's what this ended up in a way. It could have been on network, I guess, if a network wanted it, but it ended up where it ended, and we ended up being kind of like an ensemble in a way, not expecting too much, but liking what we were doing.
But no way, no how, this show ever goes on network television.
No.
Not with its, not
The
with,
magic is gone.
the tone of the show could have never flown on network television.
But come on, we all have to give credit to Georgia and
Oh yeah, and Jaffe.
Sheila
Sheila.
Jaffe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let's give
Casting.
They knew.
So what's the famous quote? It's John Huston or John Ford, one of those old directors, said, 90% of directing is casting.
That's correct.
Not if you ask a director, but
John Huston said that. I think.
Somebody like that. But
Quite true.
But this whole thing is, I watched a bunch of episodes then, just in the last couple of days. Saw it all the first time. Saw it again 5 years ago. Then watched a bunch of episodes over the last couple
You
of
got
days.
a lot of time on your hands.
NBC doesn't keep me very busy. But the point being, I felt like every single person in every single spot was spot on. Did you ever worked in an ensemble like that where you felt like he doesn't miss, she doesn't miss, she doesn't miss?
It's extraordinary.
Everybody hit it. It seemed like every scene. Anybody worked in a show like that before?
Me and Michael, in the snow, we did magic with lines. We took the humor out of a line that should have been humored,
Right.
and it was funnier that way.
Sure.
The guy's dead.
It's already so
We're
funny.
murdered.
what's not funny about that?
You're talking about the Pine Barrens
Oh,
episode.
there is no other. To be honest with you, I love this show. I die. This is the way I want to die.
There you go.
In the show, but
There you go.
In the snow?
Almost died
No.
that day.
It's the greatest episode.
I also think it's because
Pine
of
Barrens.
the chemistry of all of us. I think I could say we all got along. I don't think anybody had a bad thing to say about another actor. And cast this big, that's what's rare and what you'll never find on
Gotcha.
another show. There was no jealousy. Everybody loved each other and was for each other. That's what I think.
Let me
even cursing right at you.
Right.
That's the reality of it all. The beauty of it.
Dominic.
When I auditioned, I wasn't sure Dave was a genius or he's a Nubats because
I was wearing your hat.
my sister-in-law were going to kill your son, my nephew. I thought this guy's crazy. I didn't know what he was doing. And then he started laughing. I said, maybe it's a comedy. I just wanted the job. And like Edie said, I had a feeling, I wanted the job. I did real badly.
Right. As you're playing Uncle Junior,
Yes, sir.
did you just get the line? Did you just say, this is my guy, I'm delivering the lines? Because you had some of the best lines in the show.
Yes.
Yeah, I had some
Well,
great
like
ones.
I'm a
I couldn't wait
away
for the
from
reading.
being the boss of New Jersey.
That was a good one.
The feds are
That's
so
nice.
far up. The feds are so
That's
far
nice,
up.
yeah. Yeah, that's my favorite
That's
scene.
real
That's
great.
when he said you
Wait,
were.
wait. Hang on. So,
made him great.
So what was your
Yes.
favorite scene?
Well, it's
Dominic?
one of my favorites. I think I just love the show. One of my favorites was when I had no teeth and he was saying, "You're the boss of Jersey," and I said, "That's nice." That I like playing that old.
Do you watch the show? Do you ever watch the show now?
Sure, I watch it. Oh, once in a while I watch it.
Yeah. How about? Because you get killed. You get killed in the end of season 2,
Yeah.
right?
We all
Yeah.
cried when you
And
got killed.
did you think, oh my God, I'm on the best ride of my life and they're going to kill me now?
No. Because David called me between season 1 and season 2, and he promised me a great season. And he said, Vinny, we'll bring you back in some flashbacks. And I wouldn't be sitting here if he didn't create the character of Big Pussy. And that's history. So I'm very happy that I was able to be with these people for those 2 years,
Yeah.
you know, and work with Jimmy.
Right.
Yeah.
You people don't have any idea how great it was to work with James Gandolfini. He was the best. He would say, you want another take? You want another take? Nobody does that.
Because he's in there with you.
Yeah,
He's
but,
like- he
you
could've-
know,
he could have gone to his trailer.
he could have went to his trailer. He could have said, all right, you got 2 takes, that's it. But Jimmy would say, how do you feel? And he would turn to whoever's directing and say, Vinny needs another take.
Yeah.
And that's-
Steven,
That was Jimmy.
Same thing.
I have a sense you want to talk about Mr. Gandolfini.
I can talk about anything you want to talk about. Yeah, Jimmy was, as I've said 1,000 times, you do a scene with Jimmy Gandolfini, you walk away a better actor. And this was the greatest acting school one could imagine. And the reason why everybody got along so well, and the reason why this show was, I think, unique was because it was one man's vision, which is not the way TV works. Not the way anything in Hollywood works. It's all committees, right? And notes. They give you notes on every single line you do, right? Coming from the studio executives. This was all one man's vision, which is why he picked everybody, handpicked every cast member, and either wrote or rewrote every single script. I mean, it was his,
And when he was directing movies, I was playing a priest for him.
When I directed
Gotcha.
I baptized the baby and everything.
I directed a Lilyhammer episode, not Sopranos. It's a whole other show.
Michael, talk to me about scenes you did with James Gandolfini, because people see you in that role on that show, and you were more than just the nephew. Your connection to Jimmy's character was much more profound than that.
I mean, we became very good friends, and knew each other really, really well. We knew about each other's lives, and we knew, what our lives were like before this show. And I think the thing is, when you really trust somebody as an actor, when you know you're in it together, when you know that that person has your back, like he said, you want another take, you do another take, and that when you have that level of trust, then you can really make magic, I think, because it frees you as an artist, as an actor. You're not inhibited, so you'll take chances, and you're willing to be vulnerable, or you're willing to expose, things that are uncomfortable in front of the camera. Whereas when there's tension, then you close down. But when you have that trust, and he gave that to me and to all of us, and we gave it to him. I mean, we were there for each other.
Do you have a favorite moment on screen with him?
Yeah, I do.
You can say it.
So we had to throw Joey Pants' body off the cliff. So we rehearsed the scene before the sun went down on this cliff in the state park, and then they were going to light the whole park. It took hours. So we had to wait for the sun to go down, and we went in the trailer with Mitch Burgess, the writer, and had a drink, which was a full bottle of Wild Turkey, which by the time I was ready to shoot, the bottle was empty. So they had to chain me and Jim's ankles to trees because they were afraid we were going to fall off the cliff. They did it great though. They had it coming out, and then they covered it with leaves, so you couldn't even know we were there. Jim and I walked to the edge and throw the thing off the cliff, and nobody fell. There were people down. I forget. I think it was Phil. Was down in a boat and with a raincoat or something. Put the camera up, and it was just hilarious and surreal. But I don't recommend that.
But all you were doing was throwing the guy.
A lot of fun.
Right.
I think the lead guy of a show, I think, sets the tone. Yeah. And I think Jimmy was always a character actor in his head. He didn't come to the show with like that leading man, diva thing. He came with that like, I'm just one of the guys, and he'd always say to me, look in the mirror, look at this guy. He's talking about himself. You believe they cast me in this role? Yeah. You believe they cast me as the lead in this? He said, they got to be kidding. He had that attitude all the time. So I think that helped the vibe of that sort of we're all in it together thing.
He had a lot of humility. When he did that movie where he played Liam Panetta, and he met him at the premiere, he went up to him and said, "I'm sorry." But that's Jimmy's,
Right, right.
I mean, he's joking, but he's not joking because he was a very humble guy.
Yeah.
Really,
Edie.
genuinely.
Edie, do you want to pick one scene to say, that's me and Jimmy at our best?
Oh gosh, it's so funny. I mean, people talk about Jim, and I bring up his name to me and stuff, and I don't, it is. I have my pat answers about yes, he was great. I really miss him, whatever, but I don't think about it in a present sort of way. And unfortunately, it's impossible not to in these circumstances, and it's really intense. It's far more intense than I had realized.
This being
All of us
together.
being together and the alchemy of these individuals, however many years ago it was, it's very unusual that he's not here. And I don't often feel his absence the way I do right now. It's surprisingly uncomfortable. That said, for some reason, the first thing that comes to mind is there was a scene where he and I were in a, I don't remember when it was or anything, but a lawn chair in the backyard by the pool. And it wasn't much of a scene. We didn't really say much. It was a tender, but Sopranos-esque in that it wasn't like loving, or it was just very sort of a day in the life of a long-term couple.
Right.
And I just remember thinking, how can this feel as complete as it does, as real as it does, when I don't really know this guy in reality? Because unlike Michael, Jim and I were not particularly close. I really didn't know much about his personal life, just what, the rest of the world knew,
Right.
nor he about mine. So when we were together and I looked at that face, he really was just Tony. Every space in my brain was just this husband. And what we do is very strange because it's not pretend, but it's not becoming another person, obviously, because that's, I guess, psychosis at that point. But it's some weird place in between. But there was something about that scene in particular where I thought, holy crap. I don't know I also don't know who's going to watch this or if anyone else will be affected by this the way I am. But, and I don't know that I actually ever saw the scene. But I remember shooting it in the backyard on these two lawn chairs, and we sat there next to each other, maybe said a thing or two, and I don't know.
Okay, so you know what that means? 86 hours of stuff we have to look through tonight to
Oh,
find
gosh.
this.
Edie and Jim in the White Caps
Yes.
episode, some of the greatest acting movies, TV ever. The two of them in the house. The
That's
summer house.
so you're in the summer house, but it's when you realize that for the umpteenth time he's lied to you so much.
Well, that could be any season.
But this is about girlfriend 1 and girlfriend, girlfriend 13 and
Right.
66 and 67. And here's this moment where it seems like, oh my gosh, here's this new chapter in our
Right.
life. We're going to get this beach house. And then you find out he's still been lying to you. It's unbelievable. Really? I'm just getting this? Wow. He punches the wall.
I agree. It was one.
I remember him punching the wall. I remember Edie had a moment there. Of like, should I be protecting myself?
Oh, no, I remember that.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
because
when
I don't think he was supposed to punch the wall. My memory was that.
that's when you confessed about Furio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right, Maureen?
that's right.
Yeah.
They ran that the other day.
Yeah, you
Edie,
confessed
that
it.
was amazing. The work you guys did in that scene was
Yeah.
amazing.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have a favorite? What is your favorite of all the scenes you did with your dad or episode? Do you have a favorite that you did with Jim?
Well, when the show started for me, I hadn't done much. I was 16 years old and had only done theater, and being on a film set and being around these amazing people, I was so intimidated and felt like I didn't belong. And I think when we did the college episode was like the first time that I really had a lot of one-on-one time with him and a lot of heavy dialogue and a lot of scenes. And I remember him saying to me, he could tell I was nervous, and he said, just look in my eyes and trust me. And it was everything, and I've taken that with me just in my life, but also like talking about the person that he was offset. I can tell you on behalf of Robert and I think I can speak for you, that he kept his distance as respect to us, because trying to respect us as little individuals, as part of this cast, because we were the kids for so long, but the way that he would check up on us behind the scenes that we found out later, between like our reps or my parents or anything like that, just the care he felt and the responsibility he felt to make sure we were okay, you don't find very often. It's really special.
He's watching out for you.
Yeah,
That's huge.
yeah.
Did you feel that too?
Oh, yeah. I found out later on that he would call my manager. Be like, what is he paying for rent? Like, even questions like that, like just to make sure I'm not being an idiot and staying in some penthouse somewhere and being dumb. And then he would tell him, don't tell him I called,
Yeah.
Right.
I don't, he didn't want the credit for it. He just wanted to know. He wanted to, like, I think he actually slept better at night knowing that we were okay, which is crazy.
How
He
do you-
was
how do you-
the greatest.
How do you account for that? That's just wild. Talk to me about scenes you shot. You sit, how many feet apart? 10, 12 feet apart?
Never enough.
Never enough. Seriously. I mean, there were moments when you're sitting there and you're watching this guy across from you that everybody says basically was a singular talent.
Yes, he was a singular talent. He was. I
What-
think Jimmy was a great actor.
Yeah. What was that like for you to be on the other side of that?
I found myself sometimes, because what happened was Jimmy would want to do, he had a lot of very long soliloquies, basically, monologues with me. And he would ask the camera department and sound department, he didn't want to cut. He wanted to be able to just go through it. And sometimes I found myself just watching him like I wasn't in the scene. Like I'm like, oh my God, this is magical. Oh, my line. Oh my God, yeah, how does that make you feel? I mean, really, sometimes it was incredible. But he was also a pain in my, and when he would finish his 4 or 5 page monologue, he would be so happy when the cameras would turn around that he would like strip and dance and take his clothes off and, you know, like get all crazy. And I'd be like, hello, I gotta do my lines here. And he would be like, and they would, you know, what happened is, you know, lots of times how Jimmy would work in our office is that the cameras would be blocked off. The cameras would only be seeing me and not him doing his, you know, striptease.
Right.
So I'd be like, yo, hello. Do I have to do it? And everybody would be like, oh, come on, Lorraine. And I'd be like, do you know what I'm looking at?
Not fair. I've got a bunch of stuff to go here, but what people seem to be obsessed is the last episode. This is so interesting. This was your job for that many years, and you walk away from that. The audience, it still stays very, very present for the audience, it seems. Because when I said, yeah, well, we're going to interview some of the cast from Sopranos, it's like popcorn, all the ideas that are coming at me, flying at me. Let me go all the way in the back. When people talk to you about the last episode, what do they say?
Most of them think that Tony and the entire family were killed.
Right.
I think people want to think that because I think they want to think something really dramatic happened. And I always saw it as life just went on. You know, it went gray, went black, and their life could have gone on forever, but there was always that sort of specter of could happen. Mm-hmm. So I chose to think that it was nothing.
Does
it
it
was
matter?
just a moment in their lives,
Yeah.
having dinner and cut, and that's it.
That's it.
But people like to make very dramatic.
Well, the music is playing,
about it.
Don't Stop Believing in the
Yeah.
background. Right, you're shooting the scene. Did you know it stopped? Did you know he was going to cut it where he cut it?
I never knew what was going on. That's the truth. I didn't, and I didn't know what it meant, if it meant anything, and I was just so grateful to be a part of it in any way.
Yeah.
One of the things I loved most about this job is that I didn't feel like I had to know the larger arc of these people, what the story was about,
Yeah.
the capital A, because I had such immense trust, almost like a great parent, in the people at the helm, primarily David Chase, to know what this was about. So I didn't understand the ending. It's exactly like Maureen said, life goes on, but we're just not privy to it anymore as audience members.
Right.
And how many people have said to me, no, I get that, but what actually happened?
Right, right.
You know, like, it's like, well, that I can't tell you.
Right.
We
It's
shot it
amazing.
just for us.
That's
People
right.
thought their
exactly.
cat pulled the plug out of the wall.
That's right.
I mean, that's where it went.
No, they thought cable went down.
That's right.
Like, what happened? I didn't pay my Con
But
Ed
here,
bill.
so
None of us knew what the ending was, did they?
Yeah.
It was over.
That's right. Wasn't it?
Nobody
shoot
knew
a
that.
different
well,
way?
I killed the
I
cat.
wasn't even there the day that you guys
I
shot
killed
that
him.
scene.
That's right.
That was a completely different day.
That's
I
right.
had no choice.
well, well, okay. So you're out there trying to park your friggin' car.
By the way, it's very hard to park badly. I will say that. Like to
So you're a good parallel
I'm
parker.
a very good parallel parker. Like, that's
in
really
real
not-
life.
That Jimmy had an acting ability.
Yeah,
You know, you found that space in it. It's
I
amazing.
did.
Right? Does it? Do people stop you on the street still?
Yeah.
Oh,
Big,
yeah.
big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
I'll forever be called
Next
that.
generation now.
So if someone stops you on the street, do they say Jamie or do they say?
Meadow, always.
Really?
Yeah, because it's just how
Yeah.
they feel such
Oh,
a connection
I had to stamp
to
with
her.
our name
I get it.
forever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know
All,
her name
all
and
I
you just
ever
called
get is
Jim
that
her
I was
dad.
such a
That's
Yeah,
how deep.
yeah.
That's how deep it is.
Well,
that I was
yeah.
such a.
It's kind of fried. Who's what?
I
I
get a
said
lot of
all
sympathy.
I ever get when I get stopped is I was such a. Everybody
You
hated
did it well.
me. I
You
hated
did it
me.
well.
I wanted to love Tony, but I couldn't.
Right.
I wanted to love my husband, but I couldn't. I mean,
Oh, Tony, huh? All right, so it's true.
Here's the question then. Was being on the show in aggregate for each individual a blessing or a curse? Because
Blessing.
Blessing.
There's no way it couldn't be a blessing. I mean,
Blessing.
I shouldn't speak for anyone else. but
what's that?
How could one look at this as anything but a blessing, regardless of what you may think about, your career after this? As an actor, as a person, you don't get this.
No.
Usually,
Yeah, not at
ever.
all.
Certainly, Robert and I feel that this is just, we were part of a cultural moment. Whether or not we knew that at the time, I certainly didn't. But in retrospect, I mean, you can die and say you were a part of this show that people talked about for a long time.
It was very fulfilling work when you were doing it. Very satisfying. It gave the scenes gave you places to go and places to reach for and things to dig up. It was challenging as an actor. It was fun as an actor. It was very rewarding and very rich.
You know
to
what
work
I
on.
loved? I loved that when the scripts came out, no matter who you were, actor, rig, teamster, everybody sat down and read that script. And that was the genius of David.
Wow. Yes, sir.
Also, life is suffering, pain, and joy. And he wrote from pain, David.
Yes.
David's life was painful. And so he created great art out of it. So it's both. It's a blessing and a curse, in a sense.
My
know,
relationship with
Hang on one
Came
second.
out of pain.
He loves to
Came
laugh.
out of the writer. Was a great writer. He was a great writer, and he also confessed to us that he knew the ending. He said he knew the ending when he started. He was going to end it that way.
Really?
Yes.
How it never ends.
Yeah, he confessed
We'll
it.
get,
to us.
I'll give
Yeah,
you
whatever you
Steve.
want.
No, I just thinking what the suffering part. When I first went down to read, I read the script and I'm talking to David and I said, listen, this is a terrific script. I said, but to tell you the truth, I don't think anybody's going to buy this mother thing. I mean, I'm an Italian. I grew up in an Italian family. I got nothing but Italian friends. And I said, this mother, I never, who's going to believe this Italian mother? I mean, He says, that's my mother. And I knew three things right then. I didn't get the job. And this is going to be a crazy show. And I thought to myself, this cannot. How's this going to succeed? I mean, no one's ever seen an Italian mother like this. Right. And it was we just caught David at the right moment when he was in this rebellious mode. Okay, he was leaving TV in his mind.
He
right?
hated television.
Yeah. He was hoping that HBO wouldn't pick up the show so he could add a couple scenes and make it a movie. Right. Right?
It was a movie.
Well, yeah. But he was in this rebellious mode, so he did everything wrong. Too many characters, too many subplots, the camera never moves, I remember trying to talk him into adding a few more songs to a pilot. I'm like, David, you gotta give the audience a little something here,
Right.
something to seduce the people, a little bit, because the cinematography was very, very,
Dark.
very, almost like a documentary style.
Right, very cinema verite at times. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very cinema.
Well, the
verite.
open anyway.
There was nothing pretty or seductive or about the show.
Right.
He refused to compromise completely.
Amazing amounts of silence in terms of music on the screen.
Yeah, I mean,
where it's just dialogue.
long takes. Yeah,
Just-
exactly.
People feel uncomfortable to get them to really.
Say it. Start it
Unders-
again.
You almost have to make the people uncomfortable. I think the music can almost relax you a little bit, or tell you what to feel, or tell you where to go with your emotions. And I think to really force an audience to sit there and observe and feel is powerful.
Very courageous.
Yeah, very courageous.
Very gutsy.
Very conventional.
Without
Yeah.
question. Well, I cut you off a second
I was
ago.
just gonna say, like, Sopranos might be the only relationship in my whole life where I look back and I can't find a bad memory. Like I just smile. Everything I think about makes me laugh, and I don't know if it's selective, but I don't. Every single thing I think of is. But really,
That's the psychiatrist.
everything I look back, it's all smiles and happy. And then, like, we were talking the other day about when we used to go to the Emmys and this, like, I don't know how many awards we won. I don't even remember which times we won, we lost. I just knew, like, oh, we were all going. And we were all going to hang out. And then you would see, like, oh, there are the people from this show, and there are the people from this show, and some of the people from this show over here, some of them over here. And it would be like, where are the Sopranos? Like, in that corner.
all together.
Nobody was going around and schmoozing and this and trying to find it. It was just, we were all together and we were laughing and we were having the best like, you couldn't tell if that was a table of guys who just lost or won or that.
We showed up at our first Emmys in a bus that said New Jersey
Sopranos
Transit
bus.
on the side. Does anyone remember that? We took a tour bus, all of us together. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
And we lost best show and we all walked out.
Oh, you didn't stay.
No, we were pissed off.
Pissed off.
They were gone.
So screw this.
Do you remember who you lost to?
West Wing?
West Wing, yeah.
West
Wing or the practice, one of those two.
West Wing, I think.
West Wing.
I remember one time when they said, and the winner for Best Actor is James, and we
That's right.
all stood up and went crazy, and it was, who was
Spader.
it? James Spader. And we all, I mean, it was crazy. I remember
Not
that.
good. That was
Yeah.
not a good.
That's when I realized how big the show was. We didn't realize because we were all in a bubble in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, you didn't realize good, bad, what we were doing. Nobody had a scope of what was going on. And when we got to the Emmys, the first time, or the SAG Awards, whatever a big award show, that we all got on a plane together. And when we got to the award show, I'll never forget, when we got out of the car, I remember seeing Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston and all these big people. I've never been to an award show before. And they wanted to meet us. And I went, holy, this show is big. I was like, wow. And we sat next to them, and I remember they were all staring at us, and we were the cool kids.
When did we finally win?
I don't think, did we ever win?
The last
Yeah, the last one.
Yeah.
Well, I remember the SAG Awards when they asked Tony, myself, and Jimmy to go up and present Best Comedy or something. And Jimmy didn't want to say anything. So he left the dialogue between Tony and myself, and then Jimmy said like one word, And then we won that night, so we were up there twice. It was a great night for all of us.
Right.
The SAG Awards.
Yeah. Is a night like this bittersweet?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like this.
Yeah.
Surreal.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I feel like when I hug someone from the show, there's like this invisible gym bubble around us, and I feel like every hug is a little longer, and it's definitely different. And he's very, very missed.
We have a connection, all of us, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I think no matter
It's very
how much
weird
time
and
has
very
passed-
sad. It's weird and sad.
Yeah.
But
We
it's also
haven't seen-
happy, you know.
But
Yeah.
we haven't
Also
seen each
smile
other
a lot.
all like this, but groups of us keep, like, stay in touch with Vinny, and I've seen Lorraine and Jamie and I on Instagram. Like, I think everybody has their little thing. I see Johnny and everybody once in a while, but not as one group.
Why don't you see me?
Me and you, we
am I?
traveled together. You and Vinny had me in stitches.
Do you have a favorite scene that you did? Well, you said the one with the no teeth, right? Talk to me about working with James.
Oh, Jimmy as an actor was so great. I remember that when he, on the golf course, when he insulted me. I mean, what did I do? I mean, he took the golf club and he went, "You like sushi?" I mean, he could do things. Everybody cracked up except me. My character wouldn't crack.
Give away the secrets.
I couldn't crack up, but I felt like cracking up because I thought the guy's a genius.
Right.
To take a golf club and make such a wonderful image from that golf club.
None of which
Because he
we can
thought of
show.
something.
Yeah.
You remember that? You were there, and Al Sapienza was laughing.
Good, it was
too.
hilarious.
They were all laughing at me. He was great, and then he made me cry when he said, I can't even say it. He said, "Don't you love me?"
Remember that?
Sorry. It's more sweet than bitter.
This is an embarrassment of riches. Honestly, just as a personal experience, to be able to sit with you all and hear your own voices talk about what this experience was like for you. I'm so glad we didn't do it live because I feel like we got a lot here. We really got a lot here. And I've got goosebumps sitting here because I feel like...
One thing about Jimmy?
Please.
You know, I was very, very nervous about, taking the job. And I said to David Chase, I said, listen, now that it's real, I said, I feel very weird about taking an actor's job.
This is your first acting job.
Yes, I'm coming from rock and roll. I said, I don't really want to, these people go to acting school, and they, my wife's the real actor in the family, and I watched her go to school for years, and off Broadway, and I'm like, I don't want to take an actor's job. He says, okay, well, David Chase says, I will write you in a part, so you're not taking anybody's job, right? Which is what he did, right? He wrote it in, so I wasn't sure, are people going to accept me or what's going to happen on the set, because at that age, even at that age, I was not ready for any kind of controversial going to work problems,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you want it to be a family, I'm coming from rock and roll, and music is a little bit more of a family thing than the acting world in general, where things can get a little bit competitive in the acting world, we find.
So we hear.
Yeah, except on this show, thank God. So Jimmy, immediately set the tone of he had respect for what I had done in my previous, my other life, and it just set the tone for the entire cast, I think, and the entire show, just to immediately accept me as another actor,
Yeah.
And that was just such a miracle, such a comfort.
Right next door.
But it could have went a different way. You know what I mean? And I think
Well, Stephen-
Jimmy set that tone.
We were in awe when you were part of the cast when we were sitting around reading that table, man. We had a little Stephen from the East Street Band on the Sopranos, man. Whoa, man.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
But
Hang on one sec.
Yeah, you made us cool.
Dominic, what's on your
I
mind?
was thinking that David understood different talents, and he asked Stevie to take me to the studio, and he got the song out of me. See, I thought when you go into a recording studio, being a crooner all my life, I thought you had to be sweet and you had to sing purely. And Steve was there and saying, give it to me, and it came out right because I wasn't expert at that, at recording. And Stevie knows recording, and that was important to me, I don't know, I think I thanked you.
What a wonderful guy
I
to
did,
produce.
because
Let me
you
tell
got the song
Not so hard.
That song,
he
what was the
uses
song,
that.
Maureen?
Corey Ingrato.
Yeah, he got it out of me.
Yeah, Corey.
He got it out of me, So when
Was that when you sang at my house and David
I was in the
found out that you
heard me
were a
singing for your
singer?
Daddy, yeah. He said, "What does the line mean?" He said, "What does that line mean?" And a year later, he put it into the show. But I mean, he was interested in the intent of the song.
Yeah.
But Stevie got the,
It was
so
your birthday when you did it on the show. You sang, it was your birthday.
was it?
Yeah.
When he sang in
I
the
remember.
What's that?
studio.
Yeah, 1 second. Jamie,
I was just thinking something off of what Stevie said, and back to the blessing or the curse. I think the experience will always be a blessing, but the only curse, I think, especially having it be my first experience, the curse is that it's not always going to be like this. I mean, the way it's set up.
It's probably never
Life
gonna
for
be
me
like
in
that.
this business, but I think now being 37 and a mother and having different perspective and just, it used to feel like frustrating that I wasn't getting what I had been used to. And now I can sit here and be like, even if I don't, I got that.
That's right.
And that is the greatest gift ever.
Gotcha. Amen. So David Chase is making a prequel to the show. Anybody going to be on the prequel that we know or can say?
20, 30 years before us.
Benjamin Button.
We're too old.
Amen.
You're
We might play our grandparents. So we're still
I need a
negotiating.
job.
Tony Sirico's the narrator.
Go
Need
see
another
it.
10 years.
I'm going to play a
narrator.
sperm.
Promise me
What
hair.
I missed? What I just missed there? Was it about me?
Oh,
He's going to play a sperm.
Who, me?
I think we got it. I think we got it.
Thank you.
So, let me just finish my thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you for coming and being open and coming to play. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, yeah.